Hi friends, today for Read Aloud I have a really special Dr. Seuss book. It's The Lorax. Now The Lorax, it's a little bit of a longer book, so just like our other Read Alouds today's and this week, we are just going to read this one book, but it is a very long one. But it is a great story, and it is one of my favorite books. So, let's begin, friends. The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. At the far end of town, where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing except old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood, just as long as it could, before somebody lifted the Lorax away. And what was the Lorax, and why was it there, and why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, the old Onceler still lives here. Ask him. He knows. You won't see the Onceler, don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkum on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkum, cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of mutter and moof. And on special dank midnights in August he peeks out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks, and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. There he is. On the end of a rope he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents and a nail, and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather snail. Then he pulls up the pail and makes a most careful count to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you've paid him away in his snoove, his secret strange hole in his groove-uless glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whisper-ma-phone, for the secrets I tell you are for your ears alone. Slump down slumps the whisper-ma-phone to your ear, and the old Onceler whispers are not very clear, since they have to come down through the snurgly hose, and he sounds as if he had smallish bees up his nose. Now I'll tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back. Way back in the days when the grass was still green, and the pond was still wet, and the clouds were still clean, and the song of some swans rang out in space, one morning I came to this glorious place. And at first I saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright-colored tufts of the truffula trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees I saw brown bear baloots frisking about in their barbaloot suits, and they played in the shade and ate truffula fruits. From the rippleless pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fishing humming while splashing around. But those trees, those truffula trees! All my life I'd been searching for trees such as these. Those touch of their tufts was such more softer than silk, and they had a sweet smell of freshly butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew what I'd do. I'd unloaded my cart. And in no time at all I had built a small shop, and then I chopped down a truffula tree with one chop, and with a great skillful skill, and with a great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft, and I knitted a thneed. The instant I'd finished, I heard a gazump. I looked, and I saw something pop out of a stump. I saw something pop out of the stump of the tree that I chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him? That's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. Mister, he said with a sawdusty sneeze, I am the Lorax, I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues, and I'm asking you, sir, to at the top of my lungs. He was very upset as he shouted and puffed, What is that thing you've made out of my truffula tuft? Look, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for alarm. I chopped down just one tree. I'm doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a thneed. A thneed's to find something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat, but it has other uses too. Yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets. You can use it for curtains or covers for bicycle seats. The Lorax said, Sir, you are crazy with greed. There is no one on earth who would buy that fool thneed. But the very next minute I proved he was wrong. For just at that minute a chap came along and he thought that the thneed that I had knitted was great and he happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. You poor stupid guy. You never can tell what some people will buy. I repeat, cried the Lorax, I speak for the trees. I'm busy, I told him. Shh, if you please. I rushed across the room and in no time at all built a radio phone. I put in a quick call. I called on my brothers and uncles and aunts and I said, Listen here, there's a wonderful chance for the Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast, take the road north to Nitch, turn left at Weehawken, sharp right at South Stitch. And in no time at all, the factory I built, the whole Onceler family was working full tilt. We were all knitting thneeds just as busy as bees to the sound of the chopping of truffula trees. Then, oh baby, oh, how my business did grow. Now, chopping one tree at a time was too slow, so I quickly invented my Super X Hacker, which whacked off 4 truffula trees in one smacker. We were making thneeds 4 times as fast as before, and that Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. But the next week he knocked at my new office door. He snapped, I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I'm also in charge of the brown barbaloots who play in the shade in the barbaloot suits and happily lived eating truffula fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffula fruit to go round, and my poor barbaloots are getting all the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. They love living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys, he cried, and he sent them away. I, the Onceler, felt sad as I watched them all go. But business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. I meant no harm, I mostly truly did not. But I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, I biggered the loads of the thneeds that I shipped out. I was shipping them forth to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more thneeds, and I biggered my money, which everyone needs. Then again he came back. He was fixing some pipes when the old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. I am the Lorax, he coughed and he whiffed, and he sneezed and he snuffled and he snarled and he sniffed. Onceler, he cried with a kerfuffless croak. Onceler, you're making such a smogless smoke. My poor swoomy swans, why they can't sing a note. No one can sing who has smog in their throat. And so, said the Lorax, please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape from the smog you've smogged up around here. What's more, snapped the Lorax, he dandered was up. Let me say a few words about gluppity glup. Your machinery chugs on day and night without stop, making gluppity glup, also schloppity schlop. And what do you do with the leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old Onceler man, you. You're glumping the pond where the humming fish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off, though their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary in search of some water that isn't so smeary. And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax, "Now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap yap and say bad, 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 bad. Well, here am I right, sir, and I'm telling you I intended to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering and biggering and biggering and biggering. Turn more truffula trees into needs, which everyone needs." And at that very moment we heard a loud whack. From outside the fields came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall, the very last truffula tree of them all. No more trees, no more needs, no more work to be done. So in no time my uncles and aunts, everyone, all waved me goodbye. They jumped into cars and drove away under the smoke-smug stars. Now all that was left neath the bad-smelling sky was my big empty factory, the Lorax, and I. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance. Just gave me a very sad, backward glance as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants, and I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hoisted himself and took the leave of this place through a hole in the smog without leaving a trace. And all that the Lorax left here in this mess was a small pile of rocks with one word, unless. Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess. That was long, long ago, but each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away. Through the years while my buildings have fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart. But now, says the Onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not. So catch, calls the Onceler. He let something fall. It's a truffula seed, the last one of all. You're in charge of the last truffula seeds, and truffula trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new truffula, treat it with care, give it clean water and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest, protect it from axes that hack, then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back. The Thank you so much for joining me, friends, for our Lorax book, and I hope you have fun making your Lorax in your packet.